A young entrepreneur builds a dream. From a single cafe in Bangalore to thousands of outlets across India. A brand that defined an entire generation. Let's meet at CCD became more than a line. It became a culture. But then, almost overnight, everything began to collapse. Debt piled up, pressure increased. And one day, the man behind it all simply disappeared, leaving behind a question that shocked the entire country. How did an Rs 8,000 plus Crore empire fall so fast? To understand this downfall, we need to go back to the beginning. The story starts with VG Siddhartha, an entrepreneur who didn't just build a company, he built a habit. In the early 1990s, India was not a coffee-drinking nation. People preferred tea, and cafes as we know them today didn't really exist. Coffee was something you drank at home, not something you went out for. But Siddhartha saw something different. He saw a future where young people would need a place to meet, talk, work, and spend time. In 1996, he launched the first Café Coffee Day outlet in Bangalore. It wasn't just a cafe, it was a concept. Affordable coffee, comfortable seating, and a space where people could hang out for hours. And it worked. Within a few years, CCD exploded across India. Cities, colleges, highways, everywhere you looked, there was a CCD. By the 2010s, the company had more than 1,700 outlets, becoming India's largest coffee chain. For millions of young Indians, CCD was their first cafe experience. First dates, first meetings, first ideas, all started with a cup of coffee. But behind this massive success, a silent problem was growing: debt. To expand rapidly, Siddhartha made aggressive financial decisions. He didn't just build cafes, he invested in multiple businesses, tech parks, logistics, plantations. The idea was to build an entire ecosystem. And, for a while, it worked. But expansion came at a cost. By 2019, the numbers started telling a different story. The company's official debt alone was over 6,500 crore. But when you included loans from private companies, the total debt reportedly crossed our 11,000 crore. That's not just hype, that's dangerous. Because here's the real problem. It wasn't just the size of the debt, it was the cash flow. CCD had assets, huge assets, land, plantations, businesses, but it didn't have enough liquid cash to pay back short-term loans. And when lenders start asking for money, time becomes your biggest enemy. At the same time, competition was increasing. International brands like Starbucks entered India. New local cafe brands started growing. Customer expectations changed. And suddenly, CCD was no longer the only player in the game. Then came another major blow. In 2017, income tax raids were conducted on Siddhartha's businesses. This created even more pressure. In a letter he later wrote, he mentioned tremendous pressure from lenders and financial stress. The situation was becoming unbearable. Then came the moment that changed everything, July 29th, 2019. Siddhartha left his car on a bridge near Mangalore and never came back. 2 days later, his body was found in the river. The news shocked the entire country. After his death, Café Coffee Day was left in chaos. Massive debt, uncertain leadership, and a company on the edge of collapse. But the story didn't end there. In one of the most unexpected turns, Siddhartha's wife, Malavika Hegde, stepped in. She took control of the company at its weakest moment. No hype, no big announcements, just one goal: survive. What followed was a slow, painful, but strategic recovery. Assets were sold, costs were cut, debts were reduced step by step. Today, Café Coffee Day still exists. Smaller than before, but still standing. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Because it's not just about business, it's about ambition, risk, pressure, and survival. The rise of CCD shows how one idea can change a culture. But the fall shows growth without control can become dangerous. Behind every successful brand, there's a story we don't see, a story of pressure, decisions, and consequences. If you want to explore more real business stories, consider subscribing. Because every company has a story you've never heard before.